All right, let's dive in. Today, we're all about communication skills, how to be captivating, really nail it in any situation, and our guide, Leo Lowndes' book, How to Talk to Anyone. I'm pumped to dig into this one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Lowndes really sets herself apart. She doesn't just scratch the surface.
Yeah.
She dives deep into the psychology of communication. We get the what and the why things work.
I like that. So, right off the bat, she hits us with the power of first impressions.
Oh, yeah. Those split-second judgments.
Exactly. Lowndes even says she can size up colleagues, in foreign countries even, just by their body language.
It's wild how much weight nonverbal communication carries, right?
Yeah.
There's even research saying emotional reactions happen before conscious thought.
Whoa, hold on. So you're saying our brains are forming opinions before we even know what we're seeing?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about how much we're communicating without even saying a word.
That's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. So, okay, how do we use those nonverbal cues? To make a good impression. Lowndes talks a lot about the power of a smile.
Oh, absolutely. And there's this great story about Missy. She took over her family business, became CEO, decided to go by Melissa. Sounded more professional,
Yeah, got that.
But what really struck Lowndes wasn't just the name change. It was this subtle shift in Melissa's smile. Perfectly reflected her new CEO persona.
That's so interesting how nonverbal cues can really change how people see you. Okay, so how do we make sure our smiles are sending the right message?
Lowndes suggests something called the flooding smile.
Flooding smile?
Yeah. Instead of, just grinning right away, you pause for a second, make eye contact, and then let a warm, genuine smile just kind of spread across your face. That little delay, it makes your smile feel more sincere, personalized.
I like it. I've got to try that. Okay, speaking of making a connection, what about eye contact?
Yep.
Lowndes talks a lot about how our eyes can really draw people in.
Oh, for sure. She's got this technique called sticky eyes. It's basically maintaining strong eye contact, even when there are pauses in the conversation.
Oh, wow.
It might sound intense, but it actually shows you're focused, interested.
Really?
Yeah. Research even shows people who hold eye contact are seen as, more intelligent.
Right.
More likable, too.
Just by holding someone's gaze.
There was this study in Boston. They had people count their partner's blinks.
So they had to make eye contact.
Exactly. And guess what? Those people ended up feeling more respect for their partners, more fondness, too, and all they were doing was counting blinks.
It's amazing how much power our eyes have. Okay, so sticky eyes is about connecting, but Lowndes takes it up a notch with epoxy eyes, right?
Right. Epoxy eyes is bolder.
How so?
You're watching your target, even when someone else is talking, can be really captivating. But you got to be careful with this one.
Why? What makes epoxy eyes so risky?
It triggers a physical response in the other person, like an adrenaline rush, almost. Could be attraction, could be aggression. Depends on the context. So yeah, definitely use it with caution.
Interesting. Sounds like epoxy eyes can either reel them in or send them running. So we've talked smiles, eye contact. Nonverbal communication goes beyond the face, though, right? What about body language overall?
Lowndes believes posture, it can really project confidence and success, too. She even has this visualization technique, hang by your teeth.
Hang by your teeth. Okay, I'm picturing it. Sounds kind of funny.
Basically, you imagine biting on an imaginary bit, and it lifts you into perfect posture.
That's so weird, but I can kind of see how it would work.
It's just a way to create a mental image to help you stand tall. And if you do it enough, it can become a habit.
Like every time you walk through a doorway, boom, perfect posture.
Exactly.
I love it. It's amazing how much our physical presence can impact how people perceive us. But it's not all about just projecting an image, right? Lowndes talks about the importance of being a good listener, too. And she tells this fascinating story about a horse named Clever Hans.
Oh, yeah. Clever Hans, early 1900s. This horse could seemingly solve math problems. People thought he was a genius.
Until they realized he was picking up on subtle cues from the audience.
Right. They were unintentionally signaling him when he got the right answer through their body language and expressions.
So what's the takeaway for us? How can we get better at reading those subtle cues?
It's a powerful reminder. Communication goes both ways. We need to be attuned to those nonverbal signals, Being a good listener, it's not just about hearing the words, it's observing the person,
Yeah.
Understanding their emotional state.
Right.
Responding accordingly.
That makes so much sense. It's being present in the conversation.
Yeah.
Not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Absolutely. So shifting gears a bit, let's talk small talk.
Ooh, small talk.
I know a lot of people dread it, but Lowndes argues it's anything but small.
Okay.
It's key for building rapport, connections.
I get that. I used to just freeze up in high school. Anyone who only wanted to talk about cars, I had nothing. But Lowndes, she has this technique called Never the Naked City.
Oh, yeah.
For navigating those potentially awkward situations. Yeah. It's about finding that conversational hook.
Something that connects to the other person's interests, right?
Exactly.
Like instead of just saying, I'm from Washington, D.C., you could say something like, Washington, D.C., designed, by the same guy who designed Paris.
Oh, that's so much more interesting. Opens up all these possibilities, art, travel.
Exactly. You go from a dead-end statement to a potential springboard for like a real conversation. And one of the best ways to get people to open up, become a master of the encore.
I love the encore. It's like asking for an encore at a concert, but for stories.
Yeah.
Lowndes, she talked about how those cruise ship officers would tell the same stories over and over if you just prompted them,
Yeah, because people, they love to feel like their stories are worth telling. And by asking for an encore, even subtly, you're saying, hey, that was great, tell me again, makes them feel valued.
It's so simple, but powerful. And speaking of being interested, Lowndes talks about the importance of speaking the right language.
Oh, she does. She's got this anecdote about a furniture salesperson. This woman, Penny, she uses different words to describe office furniture.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on who she's talking to, advertising agency, it's creative collaboration spaces, publishing house, efficient workstations for meeting deadlines.
That's so smart. You're showing you understand their world, You speak their language.
Exactly. It builds rapport, makes you feel more like one of them.
I like that. So what other techniques does Lowndes recommend for, building that connection?
Well, let's move on to the art of giving compliments. When done right, they can leave a real positive impression.
Okay, I'm all ears. I love a good compliment.
Lowndes really breaks down the difference between empty flattery and genuine praise, and why sincere compliments are so powerful. She even tells the story about Christine, this woman who was having a terrible time at a party. Someone complimented her laugh, and it changed her whole evening.
Really?
Yeah, completely turned it around.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, I know a good compliment can brighten my day, but I never thought about them, changing someone's whole experience.
It's a great reminder. Genuine compliments make people feel seen, appreciated, and Lowndes has some really creative techniques for making those compliments impactful. Like there's grapevine glory, you compliment someone through a third party.
Okay.
And accidental adulation, where you slip praise into a seemingly unrelated statement.
Those are great. And then there's the killer compliment, right?
Yeah.
The one that's super specific and personal.
Yes, but that one needs extra care.
I bet. I'd love to learn more about how to use that effectively.
Absolutely. We'll dive deeper into those compliment techniques, plus the intricacies of asking for favors, navigating social boundaries, and even some surprising tactics for dealing with anger. All in the next part of our deep dive.
I can't wait. This is already so insightful. See you soon for even more communication secrets from Leal Lowndes. Welcome back to our deep dive into Leal Lowndes' How to Talk to Anyone. We're uncovering some really cool strategies for becoming communication masters. Last time we talked first impressions, body language, even small talk.
Right, the basics?
Exactly. Ready to unlock some more secrets.
Absolutely. This time we're going to tackle those trickier situations, the ones that can leave you feeling a little tongue-tied.
I know those all too well.
We'll talk favors, social boundaries, even how to handle those moments when someone's anger is just bubbling over.
Okay, I need help with that one for sure.
Don't worry, Lowndes has some great tips.
All right, let's start with favors. I feel like a lot of people get awkward about asking for favors, or even granting them. Lowndes seems to have a whole strategy for this.
Oh, yeah. One of her big things is this idea of reciprocity.
Reciprocity?
Yeah. When someone does you a favor, you feel obligated to return the kindness. It's like this powerful social force.
I can see that.
And you can use it strategically, but ethically, of course.
Of course.
She tells the story about this guy, Harry, who wanted to meet with this important executive, Miss Evans.
Good.
Harry's brother-in-law, he worked at the same company. So Harry asks him to call Miss Evans. Just casually mention his cousin, Sonny, is dying to meet with her.
Oh, sneaky. I see what he's doing.
Right. Miss Evans might not have given Harry a second thought otherwise.
But now she's curious.
Exactly. This call from a colleague saying his cousin's desperate to meet her, it makes Harry seem important, even though he hasn't actually done anything yet.
He's using those social connections.
Yeah.
Creating this aura of importance.
Exactly.
So when Sonny finally calls Ms. Evans, how does he play it?
Oh, he plays it cool, like the meeting is the most important thing on his agenda.
Which makes Harry seem even more important in her eyes.
You got it. It's subtle but effective, using those social dynamics to your advantage.
That's fascinating. It makes you realize how much influence we have, like through these little gestures, and small interactions. But Lowndes also warns against being too obvious about the tit for tat with favors, right?
Right. It's not about keeping score, expecting an immediate payback.
Yeah.
It's more about cultivating a sense of generosity, reciprocity in your relationships.
It's about building real connections, not just transactional exchanges.
Exactly. Sometimes, though, the best way to build a strong relationship is knowing when not to talk.
Ooh, that's good.
Lowndes is all about respecting boundaries, understanding the unspoken rules.
Unspoken rules.
Like, she has these 3 safe havens where heavy conversations are basically off limits.
Okay, I'm listening.
Parties, dinners, and chance encounters.
Yeah, that makes sense. Trying to hash out a business deal at a cocktail party, probably not a good look.
Not really. Or having a deep philosophical debate while you're waiting in line for coffee.
Right. These are situations where people are looking for light conversation. Pleasantries, not some heavy confrontation.
It's about reading the room, understanding the context. Save those serious talks for another time.
And sometimes you can't avoid those intense conversations, especially when you're dealing with anger. That's a tough one for me. What does Lowndes suggest for those situations?
She has this technique called Echo the Emo. It's about mirroring the other person's emotional state, creating empathy.
So even though they're angry, you kind of acknowledge that anger.
Exactly. Might seem counterintuitive, but it can really de-escalate things.
She actually tells a story about a time she was dealing with a mail order company.
Oh, yeah.
And the customer service rep was being so rude.
Classic.
Instead of getting defensive, she tried Echo the Emo, and it totally worked.
Right. Just by acknowledging the rep's frustration, making them feel heard, they were able to move towards a solution.
It's like sometimes people just want that validation. Even if you don't agree with their anger, showing empathy can help.
It's building a bridge, even when you're on opposite sides.
I like that. Okay, let's shift gears to something a little lighter.
Okay.
Lowndes talks about this technique that's supposed to make you friends, maybe even get you some special treatment. Buttercups.
Yes, buttercups.
What are they? How do they work?
It's surprisingly simple. You write complimentary letters about someone to their superiors.
Oh, interesting.
It's a powerful way to build goodwill, creates a positive impression that can really pay off later.
Lowndes tells this story about needing a big photocopying job done at Staples.
I remember that one.
She complimented the assistant manager, even suggested he deserved a letter of commendation from his boss. Not only did they finish her printing job early, but she got VIP treatment every time she went back to that Staples.
See, a little kindness goes a long way. Those small gestures of appreciation, they can create a more positive environment for everyone.
Makes you wonder if buttercups are like a secret weapon.
They can be. Okay, speaking of tools, let's talk about being a leader, not a follower. In communication, that is.
Okay, I'm all for that. What does Lowndes suggest?
She has this fascinating idea about observing people's reactions to identify the true influencers in a group.
Okay, how do you do that?
She talks about how, during the McCarthy era, spies would go to rallies and look for the people who clapped first and the loudest.
Interesting.
They believed those first responders, they were the ones with the power to sway others, to lead the crowd.
So by watching how people react, you can get a sense of who the real leaders are.
Exactly. Leaders aren't always the loudest or the ones at the front. Sometimes they're the ones who subtly influence the energy, the direction of the conversation.
It makes me think about how important it is to be mindful of the give and take in our interactions. Lowndes talks about the great scorecard in the sky, right?
Oh, yes. The idea that there's this unspoken tally of who's doing more for whom in a relationship.
It's not about keeping an actual scorecard, right?
No, but it's about being aware of the balance. If one person's always giving, the other's always taking.
Resentment builds.
Exactly. It creates an imbalance. She tells this story about this disastrous date where the guy just bragged about himself the whole time, never asked her a single question. Classic example of ignoring the scorecard.
It's like he wasn't even interested in creating a connection.
Just focused on himself.
It makes you realize, even in casual interactions, it's important to be mindful.
Of the energy you're bringing, right?
Yeah. Are you contributing or are you just taking?
It's a good question to ask yourself in all your relationships. So we've covered a lot in this part of our deep dive.
We have. Favors, social boundaries, anger, buttercups, even the scorecard in the sky.
And it's all about those layers of communication.
Right. There's so much to it. I'm ready to explore how we can put all these techniques into practice.
That's exactly what we'll be discussing in the final part. We'll talk about the importance of practice, observation, and we'll leave you with some thought-provoking questions to help you continue your journey towards becoming a master communicator.
I'm ready. See you soon for the grand finale. Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into how to talk to anyone. We've uncovered a ton of great techniques from Leo Lowndes, all about being better communicators. First impressions, the subtle stuff, social dynamics. I'm wondering, though, how do we take all this and actually, use it?
Great question. Lowndes makes it clear, becoming a master communicator, it's not about reaching some finish line. It's more like a journey, constantly growing, refining your skills.
Like that, a journey.
Yeah. She actually compares it to this super skier she saw once. He made this incredibly smooth gesture as he skied down the mountain. Looked effortless.
I bet.
But Lowndes realized that seeming effortlessness, it came from years of practice.
So even those people who make it look easy, it's because they put in the work.
Exactly. Communication, it's the same way. A skill you can develop, your whole life.
That's encouraging. No matter where you're starting from, you can always get better.
Absolutely.
But there are so many techniques. Where do you even begin?
Right. Lowndes gives us a lot to work with. Don't try to do it all at once, though. Pick one or two things that resonate with you and start there.
So I could focus on my flooding smile, get those sticky eyes down pat,
Yeah.
or maybe try Never the Naked City at my next networking thing.
Exactly. The key is being intentional, mindful of how you're communicating. Every interaction becomes a chance to practice.
And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes.
Right. Just like learning a language or playing an instrument, the more you do it, the more fluent you get.
I see it as an ongoing process then, not a one-time thing.
Absolutely. And remember, these techniques, they're not about manipulating people.
Right. Tricking them into liking you or something?
Yeah, it's about building real connections, making those interactions more meaningful. It's understanding the psychology behind it all.
Using that knowledge to build understanding and connection.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into how to talk to anyone, I'd love to leave our listeners with a challenge.
All right, what's that?
What's one communication technique you'll commit to practicing this week?
I love that. Whether it's something subtle with your body language, a new way of listening, or a fresh approach to compliments. Remember, even small changes can make a big difference.
It all starts with that first step.
Take that step and watch your relationships transform.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the art of talking to anyone. We hope you learned some valuable insights. Now go out there and take your communication skills to the next level. Until next time, keep those conversations flowing.